agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Hornby, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is roll call. Mr. Moran is here. Mr. Rathel's excused. Mr. Manns is excused. Mr. Filarski?
Here.
Mr. Hornby?
Here.
Mr. Loftus?
Here.
Mr. Nadeau?
Here.
Next item is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make an addition to tonight's agenda. Add a presentation.
Sure.
Thanks. Okay, obviously we have gearheads here tonight. We'll give a rundown on the car show, and I'd like to add them under presentations.
Okay. Got a motion by Mr. Loftus, supported by Mr. Nadeau, to approve the agenda with the addition of a presentation tonight. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is presentations. Mr. Loftus.
Well, I'd like to introduce, we're going to stall a little bit, aren't we now? Because we're waiting for.
We're waiting for one party.
Well, I'll give you a quick recap, and then I'll let Mr. Wyckoff fill in for me.
Perfect.
And so hopefully, as everyone knows, gearheads had their history on wheels, planes, trains, and automobiles on July 13th. Absolutely perfect summer day here at Grosse Ile Municipal Airport. We had, I'll start from the airplane side, which is kind of my world. We had a C-47 from the Yankee Air Museum, which is now the
Michigan Flight Museum.
Michigan Flight Museum. They've changed their names. Forgive me for not remembering it, but they had their Rosie the Riveter contingent. They were not giving flights, but they were giving tours. It was neat to see an actual World War II era C-47 in invasion stripes for public tours. The Coast Guard was supposed to be here, but unfortunately those guys are on duty, and they had to respond to a rescue, so we did not get the HH-65, but we did get, out of my buddies at Selfridge, a CH-47, the heavy lift helicopter, the one that makes the ground shake when it comes and goes. And they gave a little presentation. They were selling some T-shirts and giving tours of their aircraft. It's just a massive, massive helicopter. That was pretty much it for the air side. Did I miss anything for
The Huey.
And the Huey, the UH-1, that in this unforgettable sound from guys my age anyway. And they were giving rides, and I think we had somebody here. Janelle, did you get sick or not?
No, I did not get sick. It was amazing, actually. It was a good ride.
That was from the air side, and I see Mr. Wyckoff is here, and I'll let him pick it up from there.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to appear this evening. I appreciate it a great deal. I had the distinct pleasure this afternoon of meeting with Chief Camilleri and providing him with a check for $1,200 that was raised at the car show for the benefit of the Goodfellows. I'm sure that the money will be put to extremely good use. I have talked with Chief Camilleri about the work of the Goodfellows. I'm absolutely satisfied that they're a worthy cause, and I was very pleased to be able to do that on behalf of the gearheads. I see many of whom happen to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk with you for a few minutes. The fact is, this was our fourth car show in the hangar number 1 of the Grosse Ile Airport. Every time that we have been here, you have been overwhelmingly good to us. You have given us the use of the building. You have given me the use of your personnel. Janelle, in particular, has been a godsend to us as far as arranging things with airport organizations or tenants of yours. They have gladly participated in our show. Mr. Loftus has been more than kind to help us with our organization, getting things moving and making the right decisions relative to the use of the facility. And I want to tell you, my gearhead friends are becoming very well versed in how to clean out a hangar. We have done that every year on the Friday before the show, and they do exemplary work, and I'm very proud of them. But I want to tell you, I'm very proud of all of my gearheads. They're a great group of individuals. They're very talented. They can fix just about anything, and they're committed to our purpose in life. And one of those purposes in particular is to do good for the community, to provide entertainment that is family-oriented, that you can bring your whole family to and not be concerned about what they might see or what they might hear. If you will notice, we have kept the fire department involved for the raising of the flag. We always have a military honor guard for the raising of the flag. And we also have a group called the Floral City Harmonizers who come down. They sing the Star Spangled Banner before the flag goes up. After the flag is up, they sing America the Beautiful. And this year, one of the members of the Honor Guard read Old Glory to the crowd, and I have to tell you, it was emotional even for me to hear it. It was a great show, and it was a great show because of the people who make it up. I would be very remiss if I didn't thank you for Frank Firmstone and Lorenzo Pizzo. They both were very helpful in setting up cones for the traffic patterns. They were very helpful in supervising the cleaning of the hangar, getting the planes moved so we could put cars in. This year, we had a total of 112 cars, 86 of whom registered to participate in the car show. We had many sponsors and had a nice array, if you will, of gifts to give out as part of the the ticket that everybody got that registered their car. And so we pulled numbers and got first choice of what they wanted and on down the line. It worked out very well, and we also made a couple of changes this year that were very instrumental in making this go smoothly. One of them was that the application for participation in the car show was given out at the gate, so they had an opportunity to fill it out before they came to the registration desk. And that was very helpful in moving things along at a much more rapid pace. We were concerned about that. In addition to that, we had the golf carts that came from your recreation department. There were two reasons for that. One is that one of the judges should have been Jack Telnack. Unfortunately, the paving program on Grosse Ile locked him in his house, and he was not able to participate. We're hopeful that he will be able to next year. But Russ Dentico, a certified vehicle appraiser, stepped in and took his place and did a fine job of judging. And we have two gearheads that actually took first or second and third place. Mr. Marks, George here, took second place with his vehicle. One of our elderly gentlemen, Mr. Bud Ransford, took third place, and then a 1956 Chevy that had been completely remodeled and restored took first place. The man did the work himself, and it was clearly an appropriate choice for the first place trophy. In addition to that, the planes this year were a great participating factor. I heard Mr. Loftus telling you about the planes that were there, the helicopters. We also had plane participation by private owners, and your tenants were also very active in participating in this show. They were giving free rides, as I understand it, and they had a flight simulator that they were allowing the public to use as well. So we had a great array of activities. Oh, and I should tell you, the Floral City Harmonizers stayed around the show. They would stroll through the group and the crowd and the people at the airplanes. I understand the Rosie Riveters like them a great deal. I'm not sure of that. I'll leave that to Janelle to answer. But they were singing throughout the day while they were here. They did a great job, and they were very well commented upon after the show was over. So the reason I came, especially tonight after having already given the money to the Goodfellows, is I wanted to thank your group personally for all of the fine work that you've done, number one, but number two, for being so supportive of us. You have done so year after year, even when it wasn't as good as we wanted it to be. This year was a stellar year, and frankly, we owe it to you, to all of the gearheads, to Janelle, to Frank and Lorenzo. You've all been good to us, and we really appreciate it. If you would allow me, I would love to provide each of you with a medal commemorating this year's car show as a token of our thanks to you. If I may approach?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That for the two of us.
Thanks.
So, gentlemen, thank you very much, and thank you for your time. I appreciate it greatly. Have a good night.
We appreciate
Thank you
your
all.
comments,
Thank you.
and thank you for everything that you do for the community and for Grogsville Airport, and hopefully next year will be just as much of a success as this year. So thank you all for everything that you do for us.
Well, let me make one more comment.
Sure.
I have been told by a number of the gearheads that we wish to support the Goodfellows again next year at the 5th Annual History on Wheels.
What's the date?
We haven't picked a date yet. We're working on it. Thank you.
Thank you again.
All right, thanks
Thank
again.
you.
Happy to have you back.
Thanks, guys. And Gail.
We'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of the July 15th, 2024 meeting, general meeting minutes. Motion by Mr. Filarski,
Second.
supported by Mr. Loftus to approve the minutes as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is our financial report, the approval of the July 2024 financials. Before us, we have our financial report that indicates that we have our revenues are budgeted at $1,656,967. Our year-to-date revenue is $463,490, and that equals almost 30% of our budget. Our expenditures are also budgeted at $1,656,967. And our year-to-date encumbrances and expenditures are $290,615, and that's just under 20% of our budget. We have capital reserves as of the end of July of $930,522, and our past due summary as of August 6th is $24,543. With that, I'll entertain a motion, and then we can open it up for questions.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Naidu,
Support.
supported by Mr. Filarski. Under discussion, Janelle, anything to point out on the financial report this month?
Just a couple of things I'd like to point out. The first thing would be is if you look at the fuel sales are actually up just about 60% for the month of July between 2023 and 2024. That's the first thing I'd like to mention. And I would probably attribute it to a lot of the activity that we have at the flight school. And then the T-hangars that now have pilots that are flying more often. So those are the two attributions to that. The other thing I'd like to point out is that we did have an emergency concrete repair out in front of Charlie Row and up on Echo. So we were able to handle that before we had any more propeller dings and safety issues out there in the airfield. And thanks to Compo for getting on top of that right away. So that was a $16,000 repair on that. So Those are the two things I think I want to mention. Oh, the other thing I'd like to mention is that we did have and I missed last month's meeting, so we did have 2 grants that came in. One was the ARPA grant for a total of $32,000 that was in our bank account, and the other is for the Carissa grant, which was $13,000. So those are the things on the financial side. The other thing I'd like to mention is that there was a considerable amount of payment from Building 75 tenant in the amount of $5,000 today. So that would put him in owing both July and August payment.
You know, the grants that were awarded, are they for anything specific?
No, they were for the COVID funding, but we just got the money after the application process was over, which was, I guess, sometime in end of June. So, but we can use it for whatever we want to use it for.
Good job.
Yeah, that's good news.
So they reimbursed us for financials that were spent back in 2019, 2020, and 2021. So I went back, gave receipts, canceled checks, and sent that over to the state, and then they reimbursed us for those funds.
Good,
Great.
good news.
Good news.
Any questions or comments for Janelle?
Any progress on the lattice, ongoing legal drama?
No, nothing.
Where do we stand on that? Where were we last month?
We haven't moved. I mean, they have not, obviously, they haven't been arrested yet, otherwise they would be.
It would be different.
They would be different, but no, nothing. So unless they do something that's going to cause them
So
to
we have a judgment
the
through
end
the
of the,
court.
we have a judgment through the
payment.
court, correct?
Okay.
Which is the status that it was last time.
All right.
Anything else for Janelle? Hearing none, we have a motion by Mr. Nadu, supported by Mr. Filarski. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is our action items. We have the approval of a lease for J.G. Morris. And we have a resolution in front of us. That reads, based upon the recommendation of the Airport Commerce Park Manager, the Groseal Airport Commerce Park Commission hereby approves the 2 building lease agreements for J.G. Morris Jr., Inc. One is for 27502 Meridian, Unit 1000 and 9505 Grow Road. These are both one-year terms. The rental agreement is for $7,800 a year for 9505 Grow Road and $18,000 for 27502 Meridian, Unit 1000.
Okay, so I will move based on what the chairman just read. I move for approval.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Loftus, supported by Mr. Nadu. Is there any discussion? Janelle, anything to add to the comments?
I would just like to say that these are current tenants, that it's really just a lease extension to their extension. So they're across the street in the Commerce Park and then in a building here at the FBO on the north side. That's
Thanks,
all I
Janelle.
have.
Anything else? Hearing none, we have a motion by Mr. Loftus, supported by Mr. Nadu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Action item number 2, which is the approval of the award bid for BlasTek T-hgr painting. We have a motion in front of us that reads, based upon the recommendation of the Airport Commerce Park Manager, the Airport Commerce Park Commission hereby approves the bid contract with BlasTek LLC in the amount of $89,430 for the T-hgr painting and an additional $7,700 for the blasting of rusting surfaces preparation. Therefore, the total amount of the bid award for BlasTek LLC is $97,138. And under the history and purpose of the project, we have never painted since they were installed. So it's long overdue, and we finally have enough money in our budget that, and it is a budgeted item for our 24-25 fiscal year. So it's something that this commission has been wanting to do for many years, and we finally have the finances to do it. So it's a great project, and I think it'll be a big improvement here at the airport.
So I move that the Commerce Park Commission approve the recommendation as presented.
Motion by Mr. Loftus, supported by Mr. Filarski. Is there any other discussion, any comments?
Mr. Chair, this motion was pre-approved by the board at our meeting Monday night, or a week ago Monday. So pending approval by this commission, so it's a done deal pending the vote.
Good news.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Thanks for mentioning that, Dave.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chair,
No.
while we're on the topic of the T-hangers, I'd like to add just a couple of things for those that are listening tonight. My staff, my FBO staff, and myself have been trying to communicate with the T-hangers since we were getting this in motion. And we have been texting, emailing, phone calling all of the T-hangers to coordinate this project. This project is going to be a big project because we're going to end up having to remove a lot of the planes, shift them around. So the coordination for that has been started. But during these conversations with all of our tenants, we have decided that I am going to open up a Q&A on Thursday, August 22nd at 5 o'clock for all T-hanger tenants that want to participate, that are concerned about their belongings, to please show up. It's their time now to talk about it. And I will have the contractor there, so if you guys would like to be there, that's great. But otherwise, it's really offered for the tenants to come and express how we're going to go about prepping these hangars. So I'd like everyone to know that. I will be putting the contract and having a meeting with BlasTek tomorrow to kind of execute the contract and at least get the materials ordered, because we have not done so yet. So it's going to move, and when it moves, it's going to move fast. So please have a lot of patience with me. I'm sure it's going to be a project, moving 65 planes. So actually 64 now.
Janelle, is there a projected start date yet?
We're looking at the end of this month, but nothing has been firm yet because we haven't even had the contract in place, and I think we'll probably talk about that tomorrow during our discussion. But hopefully the start date will be discussed on Thursday once again. For those that want to know the answer to that, I'm hoping we'll have our start date on Thursday, the 22nd. So those of you that are listening, please show up and get your questions answered.
And that'll be here in this room, Janelle?
It will be here in this room. We have already scheduled that meeting time for the Q&A people.
Okay.
Did he say, was this going to be done in stages? Like, one building, then the next building, so we'll be, not displacing all the airplanes at one time?
Correct, yes. So what we're planning on doing is we're going to do it in Alpha Bravo Charlie. So we'll start in the first row, then we'll go to the second, and then we'll go to the third. The conversation that we are going to have with him is because we do have more aircrafts in Charlie. So we would like to discuss with him if we can do half of the north-south hangar and then move those aircrafts and then do the other side. But I don't know exactly how we're going to coordinate that. So I'm, asking for a lot of patience over the next couple of weeks because this is going to be a big project. So I think that's about it on the T-hanger, sorry.
I'll add one more thing. So when we sent this out to bid, it was originally for paint only, and if you notice, we do have $7,700 now on there for sandblasting, and that's really pertaining to the oldest buildings over there, and on both sides the bottoms are rusted, and if we had just treated the rust and painted over, I think the longevity of the paint would have only been 5 years at best.
Mm-hmm.
So we, that was, the reason to, look for a more permanent solution so the paint would hold up a lot better. And, as far as the process, my concern was with the sandblasting, that sand would get in the air. And I guess, the way it was explained to me, they have a process where the sand is, like recirculated, and it really doesn't cause as much of a mess as, I assumed it would. So, we had their assurance that it wouldn't, get all over the place. So I just wanted to add that because I'm sure, there'll be some concern around the sandblasting.
No, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad that you were in that meeting with me to be able to remember all of those things. So that's a big help. So thank you.
Welcome.
Janelle, my understanding is if they start at the end of August and weather permitting, they anticipate to have it done by the end of September.
That's correct.
So basically about a month.
About a month.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we have a motion by Mr. Loftus, supported by Mr. Filarski. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Action item number 3 is the approval of the landscape plan with Vanston, Obrien, Inc., and this is for a new sign that will be installed on Grow Road, just west of the tennis center as Meridian ends into Grow Road. It's going to say Grozeel Airport. It's going to be about a 6-foot wall, very similar to the one at the Commerce Park. And it's being done by the same contractor that did that work. We have a recommendation before us that reads, based upon the recommendation of the Grozeel Airport Commerce Park Manager, the Grozeel Airport Commerce Park Commission hereby approves the extension of the landscape plan, which includes the wall, contract dated November 3rd, 2022, with Vanston Obrien, Inc. The extension has been updated as of July 30th, 2024, in the amount of $59,351.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Nadu,
Second.
supported by Mr. Loftus. Under discussion. Anyone?
Will
have any-
will this be a lighted sign like,
Yeah, I can,
Okay.
do you want to speak to
No,
that?
go
Ron?
ahead.
So this will be identical to the sign that's across the street at Commerce Park. So the signage out front will be lit. We have been working with DTE to figure out how we're going to get the power over that, but we'll figure it out one way or another. But other than that, it's going to be identical to that.
thank
The
you.
power is going to come from the tennis center service, because there's already power going to the tennis center. So
Okay.
somehow we're going to pull power off of that, and it'll be separately metered at the sign.
Correct.
Any other questions? If not, we have a motion by Mr. Nadu, supported by Mr. Loftus. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is discussion items. Janelle, any discussion items tonight?
I can either discuss the topics or kind of add them in my manager report. It's up to you.
We'll move on to the manager's report, so go ahead.
First thing I'd like to just let everybody know is that I did reach out to Island Pod Ice. I know that a lot of people have been asking how they're doing, and I asked him today just to give me an update, and he said that they're ahead of their projection, but they're cautiously optimistic. He would like to let us know that 10% of the clients that he has are actually off island. So just another community benefit that this airport offers to Grozeel, right? So people are coming off the island to use our services here. So I always like to share that because that's really good news, right?
It's good news that 90% is from Grozeel, too.
Well,
so-
yes, yeah, I mean, I agree.
So it's a good service for the island.
It's a great service. He did want to let the commission know that your team, this is to me, but he says, I want to let the commission know that your team and you have been really responsive and helpful and very truly appreciate your support. They are planning on a shuttle bus in the coming months to provide pickup and drop-off services, and they think it'll be a value added to the island residents during the winter months. So keep that in mind. And that was all that I wanted to share with that. So super exciting. Another very exciting news is that Halls, as I mentioned earlier, is booming. And they currently have about 50 active students, which includes, in addition to that, they have 6 CFI pilots there. So the Redbird flight simulator has been very, very, very well taken. So they,
You know, any idea how many pilot or students we had before that? I mean, how it's grown since they started?
Wasn't it in the teens?
I don't even want to guess to that. No, I don't know. Do you know, Daryl?
I have no idea, but I would say, they probably only had probably 10 going at a time, maybe.
Yeah. I will tell you that they just,
He's really reaching out into the schools and, they're getting a flying club started. I mean, it's just really amazing, the level of marketing and how he's growing that, so.
they did just get their 182 painted.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah,
It looks really nice. And so
does.
they did get their touring license, so they are now able to, just like Max Flight, they're able to take people for tours. So people that, want to have a tour in a helicopter and a plane, we offer both services now. And I know that they are offering planes available for rental. So I believe they have 5 in their fleet right now. So anyways, they're doing great, and I'm just really happy to be doing that with them. The other thing with our tenants, and I'd like to show you guys, the ladder was installed. So Bill Molnar actually dropped off pictures today, and I'd like to show these to you, just so you guys can see an aerial view of the ladder that we purchased for the roof at Island Athletics. So this is the ladder that was installed, what was that, 2 weeks ago, I guess it's been now? And they have started doing repairs up there, but you'll see here, here we go. This area right here is actually a ledge that they stand on so they can safely get up and fix whatever damage is done up there, and it will roll across the whole roof. This is just another view. And this kind of gives you just a different view of the rooftop. So you can see the wheels touch on, 6 points? And then this is them installing the roof. This is a video. It was quite a project to watch it. So I wanted just to share that with you. Do you guys, I think those are all my photos on it, but I thought it was a good thing to show you. Gives you a different perspective of the hard work that they did in fabricating that for us to be able to provide a safe environment to fix such a crazy roof, right?
Are they already starting to fix
They are.
there?
Yep. So they're starting that. So that was the other update that I wanted to provide. The other update I wanted to provide for everyone was the Hangar 4 availability. It actually works out great because we'll be using it for moving a lot of the aircrafts for the T-hgr painting right now, and then we'll be able to figure out what we're going to utilize that. We have been storing a transient pilot in there, so we are collecting some revenue on that based on the hangar rates that we approved a few months back. So we are collecting a little bit of rent on that right now that kind of offsets some of the cost. Until we finish the T-hgr painting, and we can decide what we're going to do with that. But that's where we are with the tenant side. Couple other things. July 3rd, we had a study session to talk about decommissioning the NDB, the non-directional beacon. I know Daryl and I have talked about this, and Brian and I have talked about this, and I did meet with the Airport Advisory Committee, and we talked, and there was a discussion because the FAA had approached me and decommissioning the NDB, and they were kind of moving forward with it regardless, unless we could justify why we still needed it. But I just wanted to let you know that it will be canceled, and decommissioned in April of 2025, but that's in motion. That's it for that. We did have our airport inspection, so we have an airport inspection every 3 years. It went great, no issues, except for we had we had a light that was out on our windsock. I don't know if you've seen that, Daryl, yet, but it's official. Our windsock actually has a light on it now, so that was a big effort by,
In case you can't see that big tetrahedron over there.
just in case you can't see that, but it was a state requirement, so we did fix that, and I'd like to thank, I have to tell you, boy, our staff out there, I don't know if everyone's noticed, and I'm really proud of them, but even our seasonal staff, I'd like to thank them. The landscaping efforts and the weeds that have been pulled and a lot of the tree trimming in front of like pretty much all down Grow Road, but I noticed a difference that they made a difference in front of the north side of the FBO. They actually painted the handrails, and some other efforts that they've been doing over the summer has been great. So I'd just like to point that out because they really did a nice job. We did an annual fuel farm inspection. I just kind of want to point this out that we do take into consideration safety here at the airport. So recently, on actually August 6th, Frank and Lorenzo and I went to a fuel safety class, and we updated the stickers, the placards on the fuel farm. They just educated us and kept us aware of how to maintain our fuel farm. I just want to point out that they do take it very seriously. So with that being said, we've done a lot of work at our fuel farm over the past, since May? I guess since May, we've put in a new 75-foot 100-load lead hose in the cost of, $1,300. We replaced that. I know that we approved the fire extinguisher, which is also a requirement out there, which was another $5,500. All airside needs and meeting the needs of the safety of the pilots. And then the other one that we approved last month was the cleaning of the Jet A tank. So this year in total, this is the other thing I want to point out, that how important we as a commission and you guys as a commission know that the airport's safety for the fuel farm is important. But we've spent a total of $18,000 roughly on inspections and fuel farm and keeping it safe for the pilots out there. So I just want to really point that out to everyone. The paint marking, crack sealing program is super behind on schedule. MDOT is really trying to get it back on track. We are not sure when that's going to happen yet. I know it was supposed to happen in May and June. I spoke to them, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, and they still don't know when that's going to take place. But once again, we'll get notified like 48 hours. If everyone's listening out there, it's like a 48-hour notification, and then it will be shut down. 422 will be shut down during this paint marking and crack sealing. But this is, the local share for us is $0. This is a program that's offered through the state. It's not anything that comes out of our pocket. So that total of that cost for this grant process is $28,000 for the crack seal and $36,000 for the runway paint marking. So just another thing, the AWAS install, and I know that that was anticipated to happen this year as we approved the contract early in the year. Once again, it looks like that's going to be happening sometime this fall. I did speak to the state last week because they were out here for an AWAS inspection, which is great, but he didn't know when that was going to happen. But that won't affect the pilots out there. So if anybody is listening, hopefully this will answer some of the questions that, you guys may or may not have. Sorry, I have a lot to say.
Okay, you missed the last month's meeting.
I
so
last the missed meeting.
This is 2 months worth of
I know.
work.
So, just the new hangar build process is that, obviously that went to the Planning Commission on the 5th of August, was approved. And, the CADX was approved, so everything is going swimmingly with that. just real quickly on that. And one last thing I want to say is the vintage market was a big hit again this year. Super successful, lots of good feedback on it. And I don't know, hopefully November's will be just as cool. So the next one will be November 3rd. Santa will be flying in on the Mr. and Mrs. Claus will be flying again on the helicopter. Hopefully we'll get the word out to the public so the kids can be here for that. September 11th, the fire department will be doing training out here again between 7 and 9. There'll be smoke out there, but cars will be dropped off on the infield, so that'll be burned, and training will be happening in the infield. So just once again, if anyone's listening. And last but not least, excuse the mess of Intrepid Pond. It should be cleaned up in the next 2 to 3 weeks is the anticipation for that. So once that's done, that mess will be cleaned up, but it'll look a lot better. And I think that concludes my... One last thing, sorry, hold on. Don't forget, I have the MAP meeting coming up on the 19th of November, so I believe Daryl and I are going to be getting together to have that discussion, so. And I think that's all I have.
Thanks, Janelle. What's going on?
If I can.
Yes, Mr. Nadu.
Quick question. The inspection that you just passed, was that state or FAA or both, or?
State.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a question also.
Mr. Flores.
Yeah, are there any updates on the restaurant project? I get asked that probably every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I do get asked that quite often. So I just wrapped up the CADX on that, and I sent it over to the FAA, which then got forwarded to the state. But then the state just had another question about it, the building, and they've asked this question already, and whether it's a historical building, which it's not. It won't be. We've already kind of remodeled a lot of this facility, so I just emailed them back today because that was the question. So hopefully we'll be getting an answer sooner than later on that.
Can you explain what that is, Janelle?
Which part?
What a CADOX is?
So essentially it is, we are in the middle of doing a study to make sure that there's not anything that's going to affect something environmentally and anything that's going to affect the local community from a noise standpoint, and making sure that there's not going to be any reflection for the pilot industry. So it's really just making sure that all of these needs are met, that we're not going to affect not only the environment but the wildlife. And so all these studies are being done to make sure that we're not going to affect the local community, the wildlife community, and the environment.
And once we receive approval from that, is the project a go, assuming the developer still wants to do it?
That is my understanding, yes. However, we are working with the FAA and more importantly, the state. So hopefully that doesn't change, but that is my understanding, yes.
Okay.
And I believe that was approved by the board, the CADX.
Correct, but we were
the last
talking,
meeting and the one before
yeah,
that,
we were
right?
talking about whether it's going to get past the state and the federal government, so. But the goal is absolutely yes.
Thanks, Janelle. Any
Welcome.
questions for Janelle? Nope. We will move on to our next item, which is the subcommittee reports. We have none tonight. Commission member reports. Anyone have anything to discuss tonight?
No, I just might mention that next Monday's, the next board meeting, the site plan. For the
For
new-
Holly?
Yeah, will be, and I anticipate being approved.
Okay.
Is that on the agenda already? I thought that's kind of taken care of. There was no other, I didn't think we had any other steps on that.
I thought we had to, I'm pretty sure that the board has to approve the planning commission's.
The planning commission's recommendation?
Yeah.
I don't know, we should talk
It's
to
on the
Brian.
I think it's on the consent agenda.
Is it on the consent?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I read it right.
Thank you, Mr. Nadu. Anything else from any commission members? Next item is the chair report. Only one thing to discuss that I wanted to bring up today, and that is that Janelle and Mr. Athel and I have been talking with Raines about whether or not we want to enlarge the pond that Janelle had mentioned about they're cleaning out now. If you remember, we had a landscape plan that showed the size of that pond about quadrupling. So we're looking into that, see if it makes sense and if it's something that we really want to do. So more to come in that in the future. The next item is public comment. Anyone in the public like to make a comment? Hearing no public comment, our next item is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Loftus,
Second.
supported by Mr. Hornby to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries.